Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am doing my historical events video. For July I had several options, one of which included the 4th of July, but I figured that was just too predictable. So instead I went with the Seneca Convention of 1848, which happened on July 19th and 20th, where a bunch of women who wanted rights got together in Seneca Falls, New York I think, and discussed how they might go about that and what rights those were. This just sounded like a fun one, and I actually had books that related to women. Otherwise it was birthdays of artists and authors, and I had nothing for any of them, even though they sounded kind of fun. So we're doing the Seneca Convention, which is also fun. Let's get into the books. For the first one, these are in no particular order by the way, they're just how they are stacked on my desk. But the first one is Girls of the Atomic City by Denise Kiernan. We're going with Kiernan. This is about the women in World War II. I believe it takes place in Tennessee in the States. I haven't read this one, but it's been on my shelf for several years, and I am actually really excited to read it because it just sounds interesting and fun. Most of the stories you hear about the war are about the men out fighting, which are also fascinating stories, but I do enjoy reading about what is happening on the home front as well. In the same vein, I also highly recommend Radium Girls by Kate Moore. I actually did read this book. It was one of the picks for Emma Watson's book club for May and June. This is a nonfiction about the girls in World War I and the 1920s who are painting wash faces with radium because the radium makes it glow in the dark, which is just fantastic. It also unfortunately happens to kill off the girls, but nobody really puts that together. It reads incredibly quickly. These women are just amazing. The things they go through in their legal struggle, in their lives, balancing work and their lives, and everything is in here. So again, I cannot recommend this book more highly. We will stick with nonfiction for a time. Also, Elizabeth the Queen by Sally Bedell Smith. This was published, I think, in 2012. A biography of Elizabeth before, and yes, 2012. But it was, the one I read before was published in '96, I think, and I read that last year from my library. So I was really interested to hear how Diana would be portrayed in a biography of the Queen after '96, when she and Charles had divorced and Diana had been tragically killed. I'm very excited about this book because I also think Elizabeth II is a strong queen. She is a good monarch, even if British monarchs don't have a whole lot of any power anymore. But I find her a fascinating woman, and I don't understand her fascination with corgis, but that's not the point. So I'm really excited to get to this book. This is probably going to be one of the books I get to fairly quickly after the bar, because I've been staring at this all summer. And then, if you can't predict the book that's coming, or at least what it's about, you haven't been with this channel very long. So, if you're new, welcome. I have an obsession with Elizabeth I, and if you're not new, you know this already, so you're not at all surprised. This is a biography of Elizabeth I by Alison Weir, who's a historian and well known for her Tudor works, but both fiction and nonfiction. I have also been staring desperately and longingly at this book all summer. I got this when my parents came out for graduation back in May, and then the bar took over my life, so I haven't had a chance to read this yet, but I am so excited. This is just... Elizabeth is my heart. You don't understand. And to be honest, up to this point, a lot of what I've read about her is historical fiction, because that's my main genre. Not this year, but we're getting there. And so it'll be really great to read something and see which facts are actually true and which are not, and see what the historical fiction authors have taken and made their own. But I am just, oh my gosh, so excited. And then the last nonfiction is Sex with Kings, because if in a time when women have virtually no rights and they belong to their husbands and there's no such thing as marital rape, what better way to earn a living than be the king's mistress? You get showered with gifts, you're rich, you're well accepted in society. I mean, honestly, it may sound strange, but that's a great way to earn a living. It's better than being well, I don't know, Nell Gwyn made her living as an actress before she became Charles II's mistress. But at any rate, in the times, I think it's actually a fairly good way to make a living, however morally objectionable that may be to you. Doesn't matter. I'm including this because these women did what they had to survive, and many, or if not most of them, were incredibly intelligent and well educated, and were able to influence the politics of their times without being overt, although some of them probably lost their heads. If Anne Boleyn is in this, there's one. Moving on. The next three are all, again, about strong women who did what they had to or just chose their own life, but these are action. And the first one is a book that I've been talking about almost non-stop on my channel for the last 2 months, which is Cry of the Ice Mark by Stuart Hill. My review for this trilogy will be coming up shortly as soon as I finish the third book, but if you don't know, I adore this series, one of my favorite fantasy series of all times. Thurin is a princess who has to protect her land from an invading empire who's never been defeated. She's 13 in this book, and it's amazing. She doesn't let anybody talk her down. She listens to her advisors, and I don't know. This book is just amazing, and I can't explain it. I probably could explain it if I really sat down and tried, but I don't really want to sit down and try quite that hard right this instant. I will for the review. The next one is By the Sword by Mercedes Lackey. This one is about a woman who becomes the greatest swordmaster Voldemort has ever seen. I chose this one because primarily that. And also, it's a standalone, which is a little bit hard to find in Mercedes Lackey's writing. Most of her works are trilogies that sort of wind up into a chronological telling of Voldemort's history. I love this book as well, although honestly just about any of Mercedes Lackey's books are dominated by strong female figures and just really amazing characters. Highly recommend this. And then my last book is Bloody Jack by L.A. Meyer. This is one of the series I have not finished yet this year. It's on my list. But Jack is an orphan in the early 1800s Napoleonic War era, and she decides that instead of being hanged for stealing a loaf of bread, which she is just absolutely positive is going to happen to her as an orphan, she's going to run away, become a boy, and join the Navy. So she does, and we follow her across the globe on a series of escapades in each of these books. They're hysterical books, but Jackie just doesn't let anybody tell her what to do. She knows how to take care of herself. She knows how to use her femininity. She also knows how to not be a female. Obviously she learns that fairly early on because she's masquerading as a boy in this book. But I just adore this series. These are all of the books that I'm going to recommend for the Seneca Falls anniversary, I guess we'll call it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these books or are even remotely interested in any of these books, let me know down in the comments below. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. I will leave my Goodreads linked in the down bar if you want to check that out. But until my next video, bye!